Howdy, everyone. This is Dave Cohen on Guitar Tales, and we are literally, and not just a little bit, honored to have Steve Conte with us. Steve, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Oh, I
My
like
pleasure,
that.
Dave.
So you were one of the first guests we targeted when this show went on the air in May of 19, and you've just been touring the world, and you've always stayed in contact with me, with Scott Guitar and Stengel, so we appreciate it. And we're beyond thrilled to have you here tonight.
My pleasure, like I said. And always lovely to talk to another dude from Jersey.
That's right. We
Is
were
that where
both.
you're from? Are you from there?
I'm a Matawan boy.
Ah, well, even more so. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not from Matawan, but I
right,
did live there.
right.
I
I'm
went to
from
high school
Brooklyn.
there.
I'm from Brooklyn, but I went to Matawan Regional High School and all that. So I think you went to the same high school as me. I forget, but
Yes, I did. Yes,
yeah.
I
So
did.
very good. So Matawan in
And
the house.
yeah, basically, the teen years, all the trouble you can get in the suburbs, I
That's
found
right.
in
That's right.
Matawan.
That's right. Drinking at the Triangle and other stuff.
It was the bowling alleys for me,
Oh yeah,
Sagamore Lanes.
that's right. Right next to the movie theater. We used to sneak Jack Daniels into the movie theater.
In the pool hall.
That's right. Right there, the
Yeah,
pool hall there. All that good
yeah,
stuff there.
yeah.
It's all different now over there. Now the movie theater's a beer shop.
Oh, I heard it was going that way. Yeah, I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, it's
My
very
mom
good.
still lives down there, but I had heard that. Man, I remember when that theater was built there.
See
It
that I
was
don't
like my
remember.
my first movies I ever went to by myself. I had
Yeah,
to sneak there because my mother wouldn't let me go to certain like horror films that all
right,
my
right,
friends
right.
were seeing, and she's like,
Yeah.
I remember they were giving out vomit bags. There was this one movie called Mark of the Devil.
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
great.
yeah, they were giving out vomit. It was like real John Waters before John Waters.
Right, right, right.
Um, yeah, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, good times.
No, it is good times
But
over there. So we
had
are
to
pure Matawan now.
eventually I had to get into the city.
Yep, and that's where you're based right now, right?
Well, I'm in the Bronx now,
Oh, okay,
but
great.
I was in Manhattan for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun. And
And
that's the name of your band, is Steve Conte NYC, right?
uh, well, now I just go by Steve Conte, but
Yeah.
I was trying to actually have a band name. I was living over in Europe for 3 years. I was living in the Netherlands, and I had this notion that when I would tour over there, if I just called myself Steve Conte NYC, then I wouldn't have to depend on the owners of the clubs to put on the marquee Steve Conte from New York City, right?
All right.
Because
That makes sense.
there's something exotic about when you're playing in Holland or Belgium or France or England to see somebody from New York City, right? So I thought, well, let me just build it into the name, you know.
Right.
So I had the band called Steve Conte NYC, but no one got it.
Oh, really?
Even Stevie Van Zandt, when he first played me on the Underground Garage, he would go, "Welcome to the Underground Garage, Steve Conte." I'd be like, "Okay, Steve Conte NYC," and then everyone would call it Steve Conte, the NYC album,
Oh, okay. Now I
right?
saw he gave you a nice review of the new album, though. He said some kind words about it.
Yeah, well, he loves it. I mean, I
Yeah.
hope he does because I'm on his label, and
Yeah.
so he's playing me on the radio show. I've got my third single is out now. Um, yeah, and he's very hands on with what he picks to put on his label and on the radio. So it's
That's really good stuff. And there's so many great interviews with you. I wanted to tell you that one of the most enjoyable things that I've done in preparing for this, I'll just spend an hour on YouTube searching your name, and there's so much great stuff, including some really good interviews. So I know you have this wonderful and varied history with the New York Dolls, and you were with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. You toured with them for a while, the Michael Monroe band. So I know there's a lot out there where you've given some great interviews on that. But now you've got this album, and the one thing I've noticed that I really appreciate about everything I've heard you record, everything I hear from you is fresh. Like nothing I've heard from you sounds formulaic or reliant upon that which preceded it. And I was wondering how you get that. How do you draw on the feeling that gives you something that sounds happy and new and inspired?
Hell if I know, man. Um, I have no idea. I mean, the one thing I always say, and when people get near this subject, about like the sound or whatever, it's like I'm never trying to make a contemporary sounding record. Like when I record, um, even the songs that I write, I think they could have been written in 1964, or 1974, or 1984, or 1994, or 2004, or 2024.
Right,
It's just it's melodies, chord progressions, and lyrics that mean something, and then of course playing. Um, but I never go for like trendy stuff. Is what I'm trying to say.
right.
So, I think once on one record I used a drum loop,
Okay,
but and maybe I have a couple other drum loops like hidden in, but one really obvious record where I use an obvious drum loop at the top, but then the rest of the band comes in and it's acoustic guitars, electric guitars. I mean, I use real drums, real guitars, real amps,
right,
real piano, real B3, Wurlitzer or whatever. I'm not, there's not a sample loop kind of synth thing going on. So it could have been recorded, like I said, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or now. It wouldn't matter. And, there are records that are being made like that by new bands now. So it's not like what I'm doing is old fashioned either. Although, you know, I don't record like a lot of those bands, they use Pro Tools and like the digital recording stuff like to the furthest extent that they can use it. They use auto tune and they do it to a grid, which means everything is perfectly lined up and perfect. I heard I don't know if it was Keith or one of the Stones or somebody said the worst thing that ever happened to rock and roll was the digital tuner.
right,
Because everything is so perfect now. I mean, if you listen to a Stones record from '69, what Honky Tonk Woman or whatever, Honky Tonk Woman, for one, the tempo. If you ever listen to the song, like start it at
right,
the beginning and let it play to the end, and then go immediately back to the beginning, you hear how much the song speeds up. It's
right.
like by the end, it's fucking racing, and it's great because the energy just that's the way a band plays. It breathes together. It's human beings, you know what I mean? And that would never happen, like everything's to a grid now, whether it's the Foo Fighters or, you know, I first heard about this shit I mean, the Foo Fighters are great, and they can all really play. They don't need to do that. But I think
There's pressure.
in order to be like in the marketplace or like on the radio sounding, familiar to kids or whoever's buying records, they probably don't want to sound too old school throwback. Me, I don't care. I prefer that actually because I
Yeah,
love old records. I'm people ask me what new bands am I listening to. Not very many new bands, although I occasionally find one that I like. But I like to go back and discover like a '60s garage band that I never heard of. I'm like, what? How did I miss this band? Or an '80s punk band or '70s punk band that I never heard of. I just love the sound of those records because and the feel of them because there was real energy of human beings playing together.
yeah. And
It's
the
like
word you just
When Mutt Lang started doing this shit with Def Leppard and recording every drum separately or with no cymbals on the track, and then everything had to be like perfect and isolated. And there was even one song where he tracked the guitars one string at a time,
said, you
instead
really,
of like playing a full chord. You know, that's just not the way people play. You know, together live. And I love Def Leppard too. Don't get me wrong, but anyway.
yeah. And the
That was a
word
long-winded answer. Sorry.
I love it. That's what I want. I want to be invisible on this interview. So I love that as an interviewer.
Can't
Um,
shut me up sometimes.
I like that. That makes my life easy. A lifetime ago, I had a legal call-in show, and I remember I just had an hour's worth of yes. No, and that's impossible. So this is great. Uh, one of the things that I love that you said that's the centerpiece of it is the word together, right? And do you think that's sort of a bit of a lost vibe these days? The idea when you're at least for the recording piece of it,
Yeah.
people being in a room together and getting the bleeding that really, in my mind, enriches the music, but I think by today's standards is a problem.
Yeah. I don't go that far where I let, the guitars go into the drum mics. I still like to have the separation. Like, I mean, we recorded when we recorded Bronx Cheer, the rhythm tracks were all recorded live. Charlie Drayton on drums, the great Charlie Drayton from Keith
Right.
Richards, Matawanos, um, my brother, myself. That was the band. And my brother and I had our amps in separate booths.
Right.
Charlie was in the big room, and I was singing, so to sort of guide the band through the songs. So I was in another booth. My brother was out in the room, but we were all playing together live, feeling it, watching each other, cueing each other, endings. So let's go longer, real human stuff. Like that's what I would do on stage.
Right.
But I mean, nowadays bands go out there and play with pre-recorded tapes. I
Right.
mean, what is that shit?
And
I mean,
that,
I guess if you don't have a keyboard player and you had one on your record and you want it to sound just like the record, I mean, it didn't stop Led Zeppelin from going out and playing as a trio after they had all that shit going on the records. But some might say they didn't sound so good live. But the energy was there.
yeah. I
All
mean,
these human beings playing. That's exciting to me.
if I want to listen to an album, I'll listen to an album. If I want to see a concert, I'll see a concert.
Exactly.
You know. But it's with on my feed a lot these days. There's that great video, the "Who Are You" video, where it shows them in the studio and you get the camera
Oh,
panning.
is that where Moon has the headphones taped to his head? Just
Yep.
duct taped. Yeah, yeah,
And you just get such positive energy out of those guys, and they're having fun, but they're playing together. And you see Pete playing around with Keith, and you watch them harmonize together. But you know, there's something magical about that if there's no togetherness, I think we get lost. And it's even like I send songs to my kids. They're both my kids are 19 and 21, and I worry that they're going to listen to it on one of these things, and they're going to, and I say, put your headphones on, so they can at least hear some of what's going on.
yeah. The one thing about the technology that's where we're at now in 2021, uh, it's just really convenient. Everything's super convenient. I mean, in this phone, I
Yep.
have my entire life.
Yep.
I always say to my wife when she says, "You're on your phone too much." I go, "You know what this phone represents? This is my writing. This is my musical writing notebook. This is my tape recorder. This is my Rolodex. This is my telephone. This is my camera. This is my notepad. This is everything."
Right.
And I mean, I have every record ever made in here. Like because I have Apple Music,
Right.
so
Right.
I'm one of those subscribers. I don't like Spotify that much, but Apple Music. I'm a Mac guy, so um, the fact that I can have every Who record, every Faces record, every Temptations record, every Smokey Robinson record, every old blues record, Nirvana, whatever, any band you want. It and I don't even download it to the phone. It's just
Right.
this is a 250 something gigabyte iPhone, so I could have a lot of shit in here, but it's just all in the cloud.
Right.
I mean, if I'm not on Wi-Fi and there's no signal, I can't listen to anything.
Yeah, I'm the same
But
thing. On a plane,
but
I'm worthless.
yeah, but you know what? If I know I'm going to be on a plane and I want to listen to stuff, I'll just make sure that I temporarily download it.
Right.
But the fact that I can have all this, which is it's really terrible, man. I have all my vinyl. I have every vinyl record that I ever had from when I was a kid. 45s, LPs. I have almost every cassette, VHS, DVD, DAT. You know, I don't have the 8 tracks anymore, but I have all that media, and I have a complete stereo system, and all I do is listen to this thing on a fucking Bluetooth speaker.
I
Just
know.
'cause it's so convenient, I turn on Bluetooth, and I'm like walking around the house, and I just move the speaker. Gonna wash the dishes, I move the Bluetooth speaker to the
Right.
kitchen. I go to fold the laundry. I bring it in the bedroom. It's so easy.
Yeah.
So that in that way, technology is good. And
Right.
of course,
No, there's
on this laptop I'm talking to you about, I made my entire record on.
right.
With,
Yeah.
I mean, we started on tape, analog tape,
Right.
in a proper real studio, a great studio called Atomic Sound in Brooklyn. And we recorded to 2-inch analog tape through a Neve console and all this great, tube tech and Pultec gear and all the real shit. And then we dumped it to Pro Tools, and I did like, right here in this room, I did a lot of my acoustic guitars,
Right.
vocals, percussion. Like I live in an apartment, so quiet. I can't go crazy in here. But I
Right.
have my own studio in Manhattan where I could crank up. I have my Marshalls, my boxes, all the real amps. I did my solos, and that was all. I just brought the laptop, and I have a little Universal Audio Apollo Twin mic pre. Sounds amazing, and that's my studio, man.
Do you
And
have any nostalgia for the big 2-inch reel, or is just the digital so much better?
I wouldn't say it's better, but it's certainly, it's the difference between. I mean, I still have. Oh, I have 2-inch reels of all my stuff from the '90s.
Wow.
Me and my brother had a band called Crown Jewels. I have all the 2-inch reels of that because we came right out of the band Company of Wolves. We were on Mercury Records, 1990. We when that band dissolved, we morphed into our own band. My brother and I. He was in
Right.
the Wolves with me, and we just kind of did things the same way. We went to the same studio, worked with the same producer that did our demos, Peter Denenberg up at Acme, where the Spin Doctors did their stuff,
Oh, okay.
and we did it the same way. I bought 10 reels of 2-inch tape, and 15 minutes on each reel. We'd do 3 or 4 takes of each song. So I'd have one reel would be 3 takes of one song. And
Wow.
I still have those in my closet.
That's really cool. I have a memory.
It's not really cool. It's really inconvenient.
Yeah, but I don't know. I
in,
like that kind of stuff.
when you live in a New York City apartment, it's not.
That's a little different, right? So, believe it or not, I have a connection to your brother. Um, I don't know how or why this happened, but your brother was in some jam in the F section in Mattawan way back in the day, and I was just hanging out, and I watched him working on some bass riff, um, and he got it. Like it had been something he had been struggling with, and I was just a kid, and I'm a shitty guitar player. I suck. So just to be clear, and I watched him get something that he had been working on for a while, and he had this look of joy on his face, and it was really neat to watch him like struggle with whatever. I don't think it was slap or anything like that, but it was just something he was trying to get done. It was somewhere in the F section of Mattawan, and I have no memory as to why I was there. And he got it, and his whole face lit up as he had accomplished something on his bass. And I have no idea how long ago, but it's forever ago. But I have that little connection with your brother. But it was pretty cool. I remember really recognizing and appreciating sort of what had internally happened with him when he sort of crossed the threshold. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time with that instrument. That's for sure. We would, when we were growing up and both living there in the house with my mom in Mattawan, we would, he'd be in. I had my separate bedroom.
Right, right,
I was in one end because I was the oldest, so I got my own room at a certain point.
right.
And he and my younger brother Jeff were sharing a room, and I'd be practicing and down in my end of the house, he'd be practicing his bass in his end of the house, and then I'd always be like, I'd bring my guitar and I'd go, man, he'd be like, no, I'm working on something.
Oh, that's
And I'm working on something. And sometimes I just come and I just plug into his amp and I just start playing. He like roll his eyes, you know.
Oh, that's funny.
They're like, come on, man, I just wrote this tune, man. Let's play it. No, 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 I'm working on something.
That's funny. Yeah, it's you guys were legends in Mattawan, and now you look at you're touring the world these days. What do you have in your lap right now? What guitar is that you've got? Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's my Zemitis.
That is beautiful. I love that finish on there. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a new one. Um, yeah, Ronnie Wood used to use these. Honey Met Scott from the Pretenders. Um, I don't know. They've been around since the '70s, but then the main guy, Tony Zemitis, died. I don't know how long ago. And they, I guess, went under for a while, and they came back. I guess they're, I don't know if Goya, Japanese company, was building them.
Okay.
So they're not made in the U.S., but it's really a solid piece, man.
Oh,
You
it's
really,
beautiful, man.
you really do some damage to somebody if they came on stage and you wanted to, like Keith Richards style, just bang them in the head, you know.
I,
But
I I once read a review. You know that remember that company Tisco, the Japanese company that built those like four pickup fake surf guitars?
Tysko, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I read a review of one of them. It said they're so solid you could hammer a fence post into the ground in winter with it.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true, but I love just the concept of that review. I thought was pretty funny. So, what are your other favorite guitars that you've got? What are your sort of your go-tos?
Well, here, I don't. Let's see. I don't have much here that I use regularly. On the wall over here, I have a couple Hagstroms that are
Okay.
really nice, but that's a jazz kind of a jazz box right there, and a Hagstrom Swede bass, and then behind that is the Melody Maker, mid '60s Gibson Melody Maker. Um, most of my guitars I use all the time are in my studio in Manhattan.
That makes
So
sense.
I have a 60 Junior, a 59 Junior here. Um, my 70 Les Paul is in my studio, 62 Strat, 67 Telly.
Oh, you have a 62 Strat.
Yeah,
That's nice. That's
white.
really,
It's Olympic white with tortoiseshell guard. Yeah, it's really good.
that's really nice.
The neck is amazing. So yeah, I mean that one I don't really play too much recently because it's. Well, I actually played it on Recovery Doll.
Okay.
The lead guitar on Recovery Doll is that played with my fingers, like without a pick.
Right. That
So
sounded a little honky tonk womanish right there.
yeah, yeah, but that's yeah. I rarely play a Strat on a record, and I even less frequently play with my fingers. Probably the second time I've ever played with my fingers on a record.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt right to do. You know, this is the one great thing about this kind of recording, this kind of guerrilla recording it on your own and stuff. It's like you're not like in the studio with like a bunch of dudes looking over you and you're
Right.
looking at your watch and figuring out how much you're spending. I'm in my studio by myself. I can do whatever the fuck I want,
That's great.
and I don't have to say to anybody, was that good or you like that? What do you think? I'll just try anything. And I guess I tried that and was like, oh, why not? You
Little
know?
Mark Knopfler maybe.
Yeah, sure. Or, well, yeah. I mean, I've never been a real fingers guy. I want to be now. Kind
Right.
of late in the game, of course, but never too late.
Never
I
too
started. I started like watching Tommy Emmanuel videos. He's like ridiculous with his finger picking, and I started trying to, kind of teach myself from watching his videos. And now I'm working on a bit more of hybrid picking where you kind of use the pick and then these two fingers.
Right.
I'm no good at it, believe me, but it's something to work towards, you know.
It's good
And
stuff.
you know, if I'm working on anything, you know, it would be just like stuff that I haven't, you know, really done, like more left hand, not picking every note, you know, like I used to really, you know. Now I'm just trying to get this like so.
It's a little extra work for the left hand.
Yeah, but it's also smoother and sexier than you know
Right. Because there's less
picking,
attack to it.
Yeah. So are these the kind of guitar tales that you're looking for on your show? I don't know
It's
if you.
exactly it. Yeah. We talk about the people, we talk about the music, the creative process, and that's a good segue. So I want to talk about your new album. So when did you record it? And I assume that was in your Manhattan studio and a little bit in your apartment.
Um, well, like I said, the tracks we recorded at Atomic Sound in Brooklyn,
Gotcha. Okay.
which is a great old school. He's got Tony Bennett's old Neve board, so it's a giant Neve console, Studer 2-inch machine um, with a 16-track headstock, which means, for those of you who don't know, usually it's a 24-track um, recorder with 2-inch tape. But
Right.
if you put a 16-track head stack on it, which means it records to 16 tracks, the tracks get thicker. And
Okay.
instead of 24, it comes, it makes each of those 16 tracks a little bit thicker, so it sounds fatter. And then you record at a slower speed. I mean, at a faster speed.
You get more information and
Yeah,
it's better. Yep. Yep.
yeah. So yeah. So and that's what they did back in the day. You know, like all those great '70s. You know, Bad Company, Free, Zeppelin. You know,
Yeah.
that's
And they
how
hold up.
all the shit sounds so fat. You know, you still listen to that stuff now, and you go, damn. You know, we still most great records that have come out since then still have not beat those records. You know,
I agree. Yeah.
for sounds, drum sounds, guitar sounds. Um, yeah, I mean, there's some big fat sounding records. Everything just sounds bigger nowadays anyway because they just push the levels. And there's this thing
Right.
called volume wars. I don't know if you're aware of that shit, where
No.
everybody's pushing, you know, to where if you look at a Pro Tool session, you see the peaks, you know,
Okay.
in the sound, when the waves, you know,
Right.
waveforms, where people are pushing stuff so hot for volume that it's just like flat line across the top. There's no peaks anymore. It's just like ah, you
Yeah.
know. And there's no subtlety and there's no dynamics in the music and you know. So, but anyway, so Atomic Sound, we recorded the tracks. Um, like I said, we played live in the great drum room, big high ceilings, vintage drum kit. Um, Charlie. My brother had a couple of old bass rigs, SVTs and stuff like that, and maybe an acoustic 360. I brought my pre-top boost Vox AC30 62, and he had a couple of great old like magnetones and these weird like little amps that I used, and also some like weird old guitars like Framises and stuff like that.
I haven't heard of a Paramus.
Framis?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're like Hofner, you know, like that kind of like hollow body kind of thing
Oh,
from
nice.
Europe. I don't know if it's German or what. But mostly I used my 60 Junior, my 70 Les Paul, my 62 Strat, what else? That Telly, 67 Telly. I used this as a Midas on one. I don't know which song. 335 I used. I was late 70s, 335. 59 Dan Electro.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I used that on Dog Days of Summer, the solo.
Little lipstick pickups on that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you've heard Dog Days of Summer, the second single with the video,
Yep.
It's out on YouTube. That
I watched
lead, it sounds really, it's a really unique tone.
Yeah.
That's the 59 Den Electro. But I did all those later. So we just got the tracks, just guitar, bass, and drums, recorded all that to tape, dumped it into the computer, left the studio after the weekend. We recorded the whole album in the weekend.
Wow.
10 songs. We get like three or four a day, whatever. And might have been 2 days actually. I think we set up on a Friday night, did Saturday and Sunday, and then we were done. So left the studio with hard drives, took the hard drives back. I did guitars in my studio. I set up my amps. I hired an engineer to come in. See, this is what I'll do. I'll hire an engineer to come in and place the mics in the sweet spot.
Right.
And then I'll say, okay, that's 2 hours. Here's your whatever, couple $100
Right.
bucks.
Right.
Go home now. I got this from here. And then I'll just do the rest of it myself, So I recorded all the solos and overdubs there. And then we did vocals at my co-producer, Andrew Hollander's studio. And I had some of the guest vocalists come there and sing with me, and that was it. And then that was 2019 into early 2020. And I finished up in February of 2020, just in time for me to run over to Europe, do some dates with Michael Monroe.
Right.
And while I was there, we were there for 6 weeks of gigs. After about 3 weeks, COVID hit.
Yep.
And that was it, man. I came back and, nothing happened for, still
Year and a half.
nothing
Almost
happening.
2 years.
But, but I did, I had to mix and master the record all by the internet, which I've done 5 records like that now. So I'm no stranger to that process.
Right.
I guess what was different about this time was my mixer was in California, and I got home to New York after the Monroe tour got canceled because of COVID. I came home, and then we were seeing what was happening in New York. There was like, shortages of everything. Like you go to a supermarket and there's like people who were like hoarding toilet paper, and like the shelves were empty. And we're like, man, this is horrible. We went back to Europe. My wife is Dutch, so we went to the Netherlands and stayed with her family for 6 months. We were there half a year.
We were communicating then. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be in the Netherlands, and my mixer was in California. The great Nico Bolas, who mixed, he's worked on Keith Richards' Expensive Winos records, Neil Young, Don Henley, Boys of Summer. He mixed that. So, and he's worked on every record I've done for the last 20 years. And he's in California. I'm in the Netherlands. We're like 9 hours apart. So we'd have this like one little window of like 2 hours where he was just waking up and I was just about to go to bed. So that's how we mixed the record, But he would do it and then send me email me a mix, and I'd go, bass is too loud, or can you put a little more delay on the vocal or whatever. And we got it that way. And then when I got back to New York, we actually I had it mastered. A guy upstate. I never met him. I talked to him on the phone, and so I got it all done in 2020, and finalized my deal with Little Steven and Wicked Cool Records in late 2020. It came out in first single earlier this year, 2021 May, Recovery Doll. And now I'm on the third single. It was Recovery Doll was the first single. There's a video on YouTube, the virtual reality crazy thing.
Yep.
And then Dog Days of Summer came out in August, another video for that. And now Overnight Smash is the latest single, and there'll be another one coming out in a couple of weeks.
Now, where can people buy it? I know you have it available on vinyl and CD. Where do they get it? I know the answer, but I'm asking you to say it.
Okay, well, this is what it looks like, folks.
By the way, I was looking at that today. What a great, intense photo. I don't know if there's a backstory to that.
Oh, there's a big backstory to this. This kid,
That's great. Yeah, hold it just like that. He doesn't look happy right there. He looks pretty intense.
It's a protest. It was back in 2016 when Trump was elected. A bunch of high school kids were protesting his election, and they're, in
Wow.
liberal New York,
Yep, yep. I'm a
anyway,
lefty left. I'll admit. I'll say it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes I don't know who I'm talking to, so I might piss somebody off, but
Yeah. Not.
I was not a fan of that guy.
No.
But that's the little extra bonus that I know in my mind. That's why I love this picture.
Oh my
But
God, I love it. He just looks. I was looking at that today, and I wanted to ask you about the backstory for that because that guy just he looks mad. You know.
yeah, I mean, and I got in touch with the kid. I got in touch with the photographer. I saw this photo in New York Magazine. I went, whoa, because
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to call the album Bronx Cheer. I
Yeah.
live in the Bronx, and a Bronx Cheer is a raspberry,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I knew, this is not really a cheerful photo, which I like the concept,
Yeah. It's
and
intense.
and but when I saw it, I was looking for. I had a couple other possibilities that didn't work out of photos. I wanted sort of a dark, black and white New York photo,
Right.
and when I saw this, I went, whoa!
Yeah.
And then I found out what the story was, and I went, oh,
Yeah.
that's even better,
Yeah.
And I found the photographer. He was living in Sweden. We worked out a deal. I found the kid. I got him to sign off on it. And yeah,
Probably tickled by it, right?
yeah, he was 16 here, so he's like 21 now. I told him
Yeah.
I'll send him a copy of it when it's done. So anyway, so this is the CD. It's not out yet. Comes out November 5th. I do happen to have one copy here. Um, and it's got a nice little booklet inside.
That's what I like about the old. That's even semi-old school. Vinyl's the oldest school, but that's great to have some actual. Yeah, look at that.
There's a poster. It's got the
Yeah,
credit here. Look at this photo, man. My wife took this photo.
that's a great photo. That really is.
I
Every,
mean, you don't see my face, but that's all you need to see to know it's me. Just look at that nose, man.
yeah, hey, dude, you're an amateur in the world of noses compared to me. Look at this. Look at this. I'm a professional nose guy. Here, look at that.
Yeah, that
The
looks
Italian noses are still better than the Jewish noses. But
well.
I love
It's in the
that.
eye. It's in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Yeah, right. I
But
love in the old days when you would buy an album, you'd come back and you have a little bit of art to look at, and as you're listening to music, there's something tactile.
of
You know,
course,
I'm a
that's what I, that that's yeah. I feel sorry for. Well, I mean, I guess kids don't know. I was thinking about this today. I mean, I wonder if they look back at what we used to experience and go. I wonder if that's like us thinking about our grandfathers like cranking up a Victrola, like, oh
yeah,
my God, who would want to do that? But like, I wonder if kids think, oh, who would want to read liner notes? Just fucking put an MP3 on your phone and call it a day. But I mean, I would read, because you had so few records because,
yeah.
you had to spend all your allowance on 145,
You have
it
to.
was,
I had to cut lawns for it. Yep. Yeah.
yeah, and you knew the B side as much as the A side because that's all you had was that one or two records, so
Yeah.
you played the shit out of both sides of them. And
Yeah.
I can tell you the liner notes on, Let It Bleed by the Stones, Hard Knocks and Dirty Socks. Who was
Right.
Tea and Sympathy? Tea and Sympathy by Jock. I know all these little stupid things from the liner notes because I fucking read them every day, as I was listening to the album. I
What
just
about
stare at the cover,
what about Queen's insert with all the naked girls on the bicycles?
Oh, which album was that?
That was with Fat Bottom Girls. Which album was that?
Maybe
Uh,
Ez. I don't.
I own it. It's in my house. It's
I was yeah, I didn't have that album. I had Night at the Opera, I had Day at the Races, I had Sheer Heart Attack. But yeah, I love having, I try and make the experience, you know, a bit old school,
yeah.
you know, thank people, what instruments were used, thank the, you know, mention the companies, mention the, I mean, I guess people still do that on albums anyway.
But it's a good touch.
You
Yeah.
give credits to people that when credits needed.
All right.
But yeah. So anyway, this is the CD. These have been printed up, but they're still not coming out till November 5th. I'm still waiting on the vinyl. That's not printed yet.
Right.
Um, and I actually have still some of these.
I saw that online. Yeah, and I've listened to some of the music from that. That's good stuff.
Recovery Doll single. It's on glow in the dark green vinyl.
Yeah. Now that, by the way, you're playing that guitar. That's a pink guitar on the back, right?
Oh, that's just colored for the.
Okay, but you have one of you had an album. I forget which one it was, but you guys did a version of Mercedes Benz.
Oh,
That
that's my Gimme Gimme Rockaway
yeah,
single.
and the Rockaway
Yeah.
single's great. And I went bonkers over your cover of Mercedes Benz because you turned it into something really cool and really different. And I would not be exaggerating if I tell you I played that 80 times. I think that was fabulous what you
Oh,
did in that.
oh, cool. Yeah, I've been doing that version for God, I don't know, 20 years. I've been playing, because I always thought it was cool that Janis Joplin, when she did it, just did it a cappella. There was no
Yeah,
chords to it.
yeah,
Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? And when I heard it, I was like, I can hear the chords in there. And
right.
now, of course, after I recorded it, I said, I wonder if anyone else has ever done that. And I went back, Googled it, and I found some other people have done it with put chords to it, but not very good.
No, you
I
you
mean, I
put
just
thought into that.
I just made mine just really simple and straight ahead. Some people, I guess, tried to get a little fancy with it. But well, thanks. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, and that was yeah. There's a story behind that recording.
Well,
That was the first thing that I did with Little Steven.
oh really?
Well, he played my Steve Conte NYC album on the Underground Garage and gave me a couple coolest songs in the world and all that.
Right.
I think I was number 2 coolest song in the world that year for the year behind some guy named Bruce. So,
Heard of him maybe. Another Jersey dude.
yeah, some Jersey dude that
Yeah,
Steve knows a little bit.
yeah,
So yeah, if I'm gonna get beat out by anybody, it's okay.
yeah.
And we have the same birthday, me and Bruce.
Oh, that's very cool.
That's cool. But so Stevie played that album, and then he played my next album, my covers album, International Cover Up. I had a song, everybody, somebody's gonna get their head kicked in tonight. That was the coolest song in the world too. And then he said, "Hey, you want to do a single for my label?" I said, "Sure." And then we did "Gimme Gimme Rockaway." So I went into his studio and recorded it.
Which is a cool video too.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that director Peter Perenni has done my next video that's coming out, and it's fucking epic. Where do you see this thing? A song called "Flying." It's a ballad from the album. Yeah, since I was gonna, this was kind of a one-off with Steven, as I thought it was gonna be, just the one single.
Right.
I thought, let me do something different and get some guys that I always wanted to play with that I never played with before. So I called Clem Burke from Blondie and
Oh, right.
Andy Rourke from the Smiths, and
Right.
Jesse Malin sang with me. And so we did "Gimme Gimme Rockaway" in the studio at Little Steven's. He has a studio in Manhattan in his offices, and we recorded right there. Nice little spot. And then it was going to be a vinyl single,
Right.
and I completely forgot that I had to do a B-side. Like,
All right.
right. So after we did the take, and it was like, "Oh, great guys, thanks, man." Everybody said goodbye. Clem left, Andy left, and I went, "The B-side." Clem was leaving town. I couldn't get him back there. I called my regular drummer, Phil Stewart, who's a great drummer. And I said, "Phil, can you come down here? I got to record a B-side." And he's like, "Man, I'm in Canada." He's Canadian. So like, I couldn't get anybody. And so I went out into the offices of Wicked, what's called Renegade Nation,
Right.
dance company. I went out into the office. I said, "Hey, any drummers in the house?" Some guy
Literally.
raises, yeah, literally, and some guy raises his hand, and it was like I knew this guy. I had played Yankee Stadium for Little Steven the year before, um, and I knew this guy, Jeremy. His name is Jeremy. Oh, he's gonna kill me now. It's an Italian last name, of course, so I should remember it. But anyway, he he's like, "Yeah, I play drums." I'm like, "All right, come in here." I taught him the song. I knew I could play bass on it, so
Right. Right.
there was a bass laying around the studio. So I taught him my arrangement. We laid it down. I laid down bass. This is on Mercedes Benz, and then I got the entire uh,
Yeah.
Renegade Nation offices, like all the older ladies, secretaries and stuff. Everybody come on in, and we all sang. You hear the big
Yeah,
drum
well, that
fill
was
at
my
the
next
end.
question. Is you just have this sort of, it's almost like an arena rock kind of thing when everyone's singing it together. It's very cool.
Yeah,
Or
I wrote out the words on a paper and a Sharpie, and I said, "Okay, everybody, here's what we're gonna do." And luckily, everybody could sing in tune and in time.
right,
And maybe that's a prerequisite for working at Steven's company. But
right,
I think it was called like the rock, because he was doing, Steven's heavily into this teaching, rock education thing, which is awesome.
I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, he's got this program in the schools. He's trying to like make, rock history an actual thing that's taught in schools, which is,
That's
I
a
think,
great
really
thing.
awesome and important.
Yeah,
And so, like, yeah, I named them on the records, like the Rock and Roll something Foundation, Forever Foundation, or something, singers, I
right.
called them. Um, and yeah, so that's my story behind Mercedes Benz. Since you like
No,
the record,
it's
there you have it.
very, very cool. I've shared it with a bunch of people because it's just different. It's very different, and I enjoy it like that. So very cool.
Yeah.
So time is flying with you right now. I just took a look at.
Oh, I'm taking all kinds of like little
It's great. It's absolutely great.
digressions over here.
One of the things I want people to know. So you're the best way to find you besides social media. You just Google Steve Conte. You get all this. Everything is there on Facebook. I'll find you on YouTube. But your website is stevecontenyc.com. Very easy to
Yeah,
find.
or now you can just go to steveconte.com. I finally bought that.
Who
Someone
had it before you?
yeah, someone was trying to like, hold on to me.
Right,
Like,
right, right,
"Oh, you want to buy it? It'll cost you, three
right, right.
dollars." So I'm like, "I'll wait for it to expire," and it expired, and I just bought it real quick.
Perfect. Well,
So now, yeah, either one of those takes you to my website. It's easier to just say steveconte.com, CONTE, and I don't update the website as much as I do the social media, just because I
right.
can do it from my phone. It's so easy. I do it every
Yeah,
day while I'm
exactly.
bike riding on, on a bus or walking down the street.
Yeah.
But everything is there. I have a YouTube channel where all my videos are, and I hope to be doing a lot more with my YouTube channel because the fact that we haven't been out playing, I've got a couple of solo performances up there already, and I'd like to do more of that. But Instagram, Twitter,
Yeah,
all the usual places.
you're everywhere, and thankfully, there's not another rock guitarist named Steve Conte I saw anywhere. So if people look up Steve Conte, they're going to find you. Conte.
There is an actor. There's an
Is it
actor
really?
who's, yeah, he was in his big movie was I Was a Teenage Zombie.
Oh, that's
You ever
funny.
hear this movie in the late, like, early '60s?
I've
When he
absolutely
had
heard.
all those B horror movies,
Yeah,
but that he's spelled exactly the same way as
oh,
my
that's
wife.
right. And with a
It's
different
hilarious.
spelling, I pitched for the Mets for a few years. But
Cone, yeah,
yeah,
right.
but he spells it wrong. I think he forgets the E for his last name. But yeah, I pitched for the Mets for a while. So this was a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I really appreciate your spending some time with us.
Yeah,
And
man. If you got anything else, I'm not. I don't have to run yet, so you can feel free to ask me anything else. As far as the record goes, oh, Bandcamp. That's what I want to say.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
I knew I forgot something. So
Okay.
that's where you can get the record.
Oh yeah, right, right.
Yeah. So, Wicked Cool Records, the label, they have a page on Bandcamp where you can get it directly from them. But I sell them right through my Bandcamp page. Through the merch, there's a merch tab.
I saw, and you have the merch tab on your website too. I think I saw that. That's so old
I
school.
might have a link to it on there, but I don't have a possibility to sell with a credit card or anything on my website.
Right.
That's through the Bandcamp, and it goes through PayPal. Or maybe they don't do credit cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you go to Wicked Cool, you can just buy them directly from like the factory or whatever,
Right. Now let me ask you this.
But if you buy them from me,
Yeah.
I sign them at home and
right.
send them out. I send them out from my house, So if you go to Bandcamp, Steve Conte page, not the Wicked Cool Records page, you can pre-order the CD or the vinyl from me. And well, these I'm not selling on the Bandcamp site, but anybody who wants to write me at info@stevecontenyc.com, I'll tell you all about how to get these.
Now you know what we're going to do too. We're going to put when this goes into post, we'll put you in touch with Monica over at the studio. We're going to get all those links together for you. So we'll put that together. So I usually like to say this, that it's here on the screen, but I have no idea if it's going to be here or here. But we'll get all your info on the screen. Now let me ask you this question: my kids who have an attention span of a flea, which I will say on the air. Yeah, right. If they want to get, do you also sell your stuff? Like, can they upload it on iTunes and all that?
Oh yeah, it's all I don't like to advertise. Go to Spotify because
right.
I don't get paid shit for that.
Okay, gotcha.
And no artists do, unfortunately. And Apple Music, is kind of the same. Even though I pay for it for myself for listening to music,
right.
I hate that these streaming services. They're getting rich on musicians, but they're not really paying musicians.
No, you're right. You're right.
I mean, when I was coming up, you could actually think about like, not just having a career, but making a living being a musician and a recording artist. But I mean, I make a living as a musician, but not just as a recording artist. I got to do a lot of different things to like make what
And
what someone in the 60s or 70s or 80s used to make from selling their records,
selling vinyl or CDs. But at least we're seeing now that vinyl's making a little bit of a comeback. I mean, one of my kids, I think my daughter actually got a turntable, which I think is really cool because, again, one of the things you talked about it earlier that I think kids are missing out on is sort of the tactile interaction with the artist,
Yeah.
I was going to mention before, I'm a Who fanatic. So Quadrophenia, there's a freaking book that came with that album. And that just got me through high school. That album got me through high school. But there's that book. I mean, it's got to be 30, 40 pages long. And maybe not that long. I have it in the house. But
I have it on vinyl. I'm trying to remember the booklet. It was black and white. I remember that.
It's all the pictures. It's a bunch of black and white pictures. It's less writing and more pictures. I don't remember if they pulled it, with Sting from the movie or not, or if they just sort of did it.
Yeah, I remember there's Sting on a Vespa, right?
Yeah.
I think not a Vespa. It's got crazy like mirrors all over it, right?
Yep.
Scooter.
Yeah. But in middle school, I was much more excited about Queen's Naked Women on bicycles. But that's a different story. But frustrated little boy in Madawan. But yeah, but the kids at least there's I think you talked about something before. I think that my perception as a kid about my parents' music is different than the current kids' perception of the rock gods that you and I grew up with. Like my daughter shocked me. We had a long drive together, and she told me that she loves the Stones and she was getting into the Stones, and I thought that's really cool. I think something happened in the '60s where I don't think that the music and sort of the vibe and the culture feels as antiquated to today's kids. And this could completely be my own bias.
Well,
You know,
uh,
you might have a different experience.
no, no, no. I hear you. I think. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about with, Glenn Miller or, I
Yeah.
mean, certainly
Oh,
the
right,
jazz
right, right.
guys,
Yeah.
Charlie Parker and Coltrane, and those guys were fucking shooting up and,
You're right. Exactly. Yeah.
all kinds of,
And Miles was.
and
Yeah.
yeah, Miles and they would associate, Reefer Madness, with black jazz musicians and,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
but for the most part, I mean, the 50s and Elvis and, and all that. It was kind of clean cut, and there wasn't like openly,
You're right.
rebellion. I mean, maybe yeah, later on in the 50s, when Marlon Brando came out and the Wild One, the motorcycles and the
Right.
leather jackets, and it started getting a little rough and tough. But it wasn't like a drug culture, at least
Right.
not openly. But
Yep.
then, especially in the late 60s, of course, when the psychedelic shit started happening and the, free love and everything. It's just this whole youth culture, and the anti-war,
Right.
the Vietnam, youth just went from like, your children should be seen and not heard to like, we are like strong
Right. Right.
and
Right.
we have a voice and we can change the world and, we can be free and we're free to, do what we want with our bodies. And, there's just a certain freedom that I think, you know, it's not that far removed from what's
Right.
going on now for a kid from now, a 16-year-old now. Look, think about a 16-year-old back in like 70s, rock and roll, sex, drugs, it was still out there. A 16-year-old in 19, in the 50s though, would be like everything would be under wraps and
Right.
hidden, you
Yeah.
probably. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't born, so
Right. But
But
the difference might be if you think about a Keith Richards would not be saying, "Man, I worship Glenn Miller," but a David Grohl will talk about his admiration and reverence for all of his icons. And that, so maybe just, I mean, then again, for our kids, David Grohl might be a dinosaur, you know. Um,
well, yeah, I mean, I worship old guys. I mean, I love, Robert Johnson and
right, right.
Charlie Patton and
Yeah,
Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, and even older dudes, like
right.
Louis Armstrong and
Yeah,
um, but that's the thing, I'm not your typical like rock guy that like if it ain't punk rock, what I do, I don't like it. Like my record collection is all over the place, completely schizo. It goes from Stravinsky to fucking Coltrane to Kiss to
right.
Zeppelin to Nirvana to whatever, folk music, Dylan. I love some almost every genre. I can find something that I really love. Even like I was listening to some like new like hardcore metal. What the hell's the name of this band? I watched that dude Rick Beato. You ever watch any of his
No,
shows
no.
on YouTube? Oh, he's great. What makes the song great? He
Oh,
does
I'll
a
have to check
series
that out.
on YouTube. Oh man, he's huge. He's got like I don't know millions of subscribers, and he sells his music theory books. And anyway, he's got all these guests on, and he's always talking about like the top 10 of what's happening now. But he's a dude. He's like an older dude. He's like my age, ish, and he'll be like, he's a boomer. So he'll talk about the old shit that we all love, the Zeppelin. He had this one special. What if Eric Johnson played the guitar solo on "Stairway to Heaven"? This is what it would have sounded like, and he actually had Eric Johnson come in and play. He's got like crazy shit like that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so check him out, Rick Beato. It's spelled like Beato. It looks like
How do you spell it?
Beato. Beato.
I will check him out.
Rick
You know, it's
Beato. Yeah, he's all over my YouTube feed. I don't know why I just started talking about him, but
we were talking about, whether, who has reverence for the old school versus, the new school and all that.
yeah, he'll cover like the old shit, the classic stuff, and why those records sound great and why the playing is so great, and then he'll talk about have new artists on. Oh, that's why I was saying
Yeah.
he had these sort of new, not new metal, but like hard rock, crazy technique, but progressive metal, I think he calls it. Guitar players. He
Okay.
loves like the cacophony guys, like Marty Friedman and those guys. So I just discovered some like new band. I can't remember the name of it now. Magnolia was the song, but so I'll find something in every genre that I can dig. I'm not just like one dimensional, which you can sort of tell by my new album.
Yeah. And
It sort of runs the gamut from like you know almost punk rock, not total, but yeah, Liar Like You is pretty punk rock, I think. Human Animal, um, those tunes, then it goes through like kind of a more of a classic blues rock thing to like gospel soul kind of ballads and Americana power pop. But that's all my shit right there. Those are like all my
I listened to a lot
those
of
are the
it.
genres that I write in, really.
Yeah.
I like to
I
listen to
listened
a
to a
lot.
lot of it, whatever I was able to get online, and it's very guttural and authentic, there's a nice grittiness about it, that's non-formulaic, which is how we started the show tonight. I really feel like it's non-formulaic, which is a good thing in my view.
Well, thank you, and if you go to my YouTube channel, um, unfortunately, it doesn't have my name. It's not like YouTube/Steve Conte. It's like it's got a
Right.
bunch of fucking letters and numbers. But just put my name in and find Steve Conte, the official YouTube channel or whatever, and all my videos are there, and the singles, even the ones that don't have videos, there's a still photo of the album
Oh
cover,
yeah.
and you can hear the songs, and
Cool.
from the new album, at least the three singles that are out. And
What?
Gimme Rockaway is also on the record as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, real? Okay. Yeah.
It's
That
on
that's
it's on
such a good
it's
tune.
on the new album. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Stevie
have.
Van Zandt said you got to put that on there. I was
Yeah.
like, really? That's 3 years old already. He's like, no, it wasn't on an album, right? I said, yeah, it's true.
It's a
Got that.
very. It's such a cool, catchy tune. Like I said, the video is great. It's such a, it's such a New Yorkish kind of video in a really good way. But if someone goes to your YouTube channel, what's also cool is that they're watching you jamming with just a who's who of rock legends too, which is kind of fun. I saw you.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones up there. I played with Patti Smith a couple years
I saw
ago.
that. Bo Diddley. Didn't you jam with Bo Diddley in one of them?
Um, there's some photos of me and Bo. Bo played on
Yes.
the New York Dolls record.
Yeah.
I tuned his guitar for him,
That's
and
something. That's
and
something.
and he wanted to buy my resonator guitar. There's a picture of him with holding my resonator guitar.
Oh, that's
Or
cool.
no, I'm holding it, but he was like, "Man, sell me that." I was like, "Oh man, you know what? I can't. I'd love to, but I got him to sign it." So,
Right.
so
So you were on Craig Ferguson with the New York Dolls, which is
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I can only put the ones on my YouTube channel that I actually have the master file for. So
Right, right.
I don't have those. I just if I
But
post them on Facebook or whatever, I find whoever uploaded them, and I just repost it.
but they're there.
Yeah,
It's there for the searching.
yeah, they're all up there.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I can do this sometime when COVID's over and, come. I saw your episode with Kenny Dubman,
Yeah,
who
that
I've
was
known for years.
how great did he and his wife perform together? Holy shit!
I didn't see that. I just
Oh
saw
my,
you talking to him.
oh my God! Yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of no. Kenny Dubbin performed on his own. I'm thinking of Matt O'Ree and his wife performed together. You know Matt?
Oh, yeah.
So
I met him a bunch. He's from Asbury. I played at the Saint a couple times with him.
yeah, he's from the Shore area. So yeah, so Kenny Yeah, his guitar playing was wonderful. I love his gritty voice and all that. But he did a great performance. Did you watch it? Did you see the song he played?
You know what? I can't recall. I remember him talking about how he was a ship's captain for a while, and
Yeah.
my sister's good friends with him, so I remember her telling me that too. But I don't recall a performance though. But
Oh, it's at the very beginning of the show. They
oh yes, 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 yes. I remember. Were you guys jamming together? Were you playing rhythm
no,
behind him, or he was playing by
I'm not
himself?
good enough to jam with him. Um, no, I'll hold someone's guitar and strum a few chords to test out the guitar, but I'm not good enough to do that. I could sort of get by, but I'm not at Kenny's level even remotely. Um,
Well, if you got some nice amps there, I'll bring a guitar down next time, and
no, we
I'll do
want
the
you.
same.
Yeah, we want you in the studio because yeah, the sound there is great. The studio is beautiful. We will get you in the studio as soon as it's safe to do so. We'd love to have you there.
All right,
So
count on it.
very cool. Well, this was beyond fun. I really appreciate
All
you
right,
coming
Dave.
on
Yeah,
today.
man. Thank you, and thanks
Absolutely.
everybody.
All right, Steve
Please,
Conte.
go to my website and find me online, all the usual places.
Excellent. Well, you have a great night, Steve. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. You too.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.
Yeah.